clicking past, ain't feeling his hymn. Waiting for the moment, blow up like a piston. Haters gonna hate, but persistence gonna glisten. Hold tight, 20 turn 200 someday. Laugh in their face, shouting, who wants some pay? Barber Show.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What up, Twitch? What up, Asa? What up, Larry? What up, Cosmic? What up, Red Hobbit? What up, Holiday? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. It's your boy. I'm glad to hear that you can chat now, Asa. I don't know. I've been seeing some wonky shit on Twitch, so it's distinctly possible that that had something to do with it. And I'm glad you're all here. Glad you're all here. All right, before we get started with the news, I got a little video, a little reel, a little really real reel that expresses, I think, a lot of people's opinions, including my own. Dude, not wearing my sweatshirt. Claws scratch my skin.
I am not having a Baja Blast right now, let me tell you. Everything is expensive. It constantly feels like something very important that I can't see is on fire. And I live through a major historical event every single week, and it feels like I have since I was a child. Okay? I want to live in precedented times. Okay? When are we going to have precedented time? Everything's unprecedented. I want precedent. I want to have precedent, and I want it to be present right now. When do I get to have a normal life? I am not having a Baja.
Indeed. Indeed. All right. Let's get to the news. To read this story, start a free trial. I will. I will start a free trial over at Archive. At least 2 newspapers syndicated AI garbage. At first glance, Heat Index appears as inoffensive as newspaper features get. A summer guide sprawling across more than 50 pages, the feature was syndicated over the past 2 weeks in both the Chicago Sun-Times and the Philadelphia Inquirer, contains 303 must-dos, must-tastes, and must-tries for the sweaty months ahead. Readers are advised in one section to take a moonlight hike on a well-marked trail and fly a kite on a breezy afternoon. In others, they receive tips about running a lemonade stand and enjoying unexpected frozen treats. Yet close readers of the guide notice that something was very off. Heat Index went viral earlier today when people on social media pointed out that its summer reading guide matched real authors with books they hadn't written, such as Nightshade Market, attributed to Min Jin Lee, and The Last Algorithm, attributed to Andy Weir, a hint that the story may have been composed by a chatbot. This turned out to be true. Slop has come for the regional newspaper. What up, Iggy? Originally written for King Features, a division of Hearst, Heat Index was printed as a kind of standalone magazine and inserted into the Sun-Times, the Inquirer, and possibly other newspapers. What up, Nick? Beefing the publications up without staff writers or photographers having to do additional work themselves. Although many of the elements of Heat Index do not have an author's byline, some of them were written by a freelancer named Marco Buscaglia. When we reached out to him, he admitted to using ChatGPT for his work. What up, Big Ben? Buscaglia explained that he had asked the AI to help him come up with book recommendations. He hasn't shied away from using these tools for research. I just look for information. What are you biting me? Wanted to be in my lap. He hasn't shied away from using these tools for research. I just look for information, he told us. Say I'm doing a story, 10 great summer drinks for your barbecue or whatever. I'll find things online and say, hey, according to Oprah.com, Mai Tai is a perfect drink. I'll source it, I'll say where it's from. This time, at least, he did not actually check the chatbot's work. What's more, Buscaglia said that he submitted his first draft to King, which apparently accepted it without substantive changes and distributed it for syndication. King Features did not respond to a request for comment. Buscaglia, who also admitted his AI use to 404 Media, seemed to be under the impression that the summer reading article was the only one with problems, though this is not the case. For example, in a section on hammock hanging ethics, which is a thing that exists because it's 2025, Buscaglia quotes a Mark Ellison, resource management coordinator for Great Smoky Mountains National Park. There is indeed a Mark Ellison who works in the Great Smoky Mountains, not for the national park, but for a company he founded called Pinnacle Forest Therapy. Probably could get a job as what the hell was that person getting a job for? The one who sought advice from trees for her therapy, her romance therapy. Ellison told us via email that he'd previously written an article about hammocks for North Carolina's tourism board, offering that perhaps that's why his name was referenced in Buscaglia's chatbot search. But that was it. I've never worked for the Park Service. I never communicated with this person. When we mentioned Ellison's comments, Buscaglia expressed that he was taken aback and surprised by his own mistake. There was some majorly missed stuff by me. He said, I don't know. I usually check the source. I thought I sourced it. He said this in this magazine or this website. Oh, that's his source. That's how, yes, okay. But hearing that, it's like, obviously he didn't. Another article in Heat Index quotes a Dr. Catherine First, purportedly a food anthropologist at Cornell University, who, according to a spokesperson for the school, does not actually work there. Such a person does not seem to exist at all. For this material to have reached print, it should have had to pass through a human writer, human editors at King, and human staffers at Chicago Sun-Times and the Philadelphia Inquirer. And here's the thing. It did. The human writer is Buscaglia. The human editors at King are the human editors at King, and the human staffers at the Chicago Sun-Times and Philadelphia Inquirer ran it. So it's not that it should have had to pass through those people. It did. That's their job. Someone signed off on it at those three levels. No one stopped it. Victor Lim, a spokesperson for the Sun-Times, told us this is licensed content that was not created by or approved by the Sun-Times newsroom, but it is unacceptable for any content we provide to our readers to be inaccurate. So it might not be approved by the Sun-Times newsroom, but it was definitely approved by someone. It did not happen by magic. A human is responsible. A longer statement posted on the paper's website and initially hidden behind a paywall said in part, like you say that you say that as if it means something. The Atlantic, that if I wish to read this story, I should start a free trial. This should be a learning moment for all of journalism. Lisa Hughes, the publisher and CEO of The Inquirer, told us the publication was aware the supplement contained apparently fabricated, outright false, or misleading material. We do not know the extent of this, but we are taking it seriously and investigating, she said via email. Hughes confirmed that the material was syndicated from King Features and added, using artificial intelligence to produce content, as was apparently the case with some of the Heat Index material, is a violation of our own internal policies and a serious breach. Though each publication blames King Features, both the Sun-Times and Inquirer affixed their organization's logo to the front page of Heat Index, suggesting ownership of the content to readers. I've not seen hallucinations like this since ChatGPT got search, but I don't use it as much as a professional writer. Yeah, like there's a lot to ask as to like how he got where he got. I demonstrated yesterday the use of Google Gemini to create a a summation of the current AI conferences that are going on. And oh, look, it got updated. Okay. All right. This is better. And admittedly, we did not sample all of the references provided, but the ones that we chose, and on my end. Good on my end, Larry. Give your Twitch a little refreshy Reno. A little fresh ski. The references that we checked were valid, right? So this story has layers, all of them a depressing case study in the quality of modern journalism and its ability to edit and responsibly verify the information. There's nothing wrong with the use of AI in this. None. I will die on this fucking hill. If you sign off on it, which Buscaglia did, which the Sun-Times did, which the Inquirer did, the Philadelphia Inquirer, which King Features did, that's a human failure. It has nothing to do with AI. You could have done this exact same thing had Buscaglia just made up a bunch of horseshit. Because that happens, right? Remember Glass, whatever his name was? Made up a whole bunch of horseshit, was highly syndicated, and it turned out he was full of shit. That was, AI had nothing to do with that, and that was a failure of the current state of journalism, or the current state of journalism at the time. The very existence of a package like Heat Index is the result of a...
I have laser eyes now. In the future, you just have to upgrade yourself.
True. What up, Dr. Yasmin? What up, Doc? This very existence of a package like Heat Index is the result of a local media industry that's been hollowed out by the internet. No, by capitalism, plummeting advertising. Okay, private equity firms. There you go. Now you're onto something. And a lack of investment and interest in regional newspapers. There you go. Reminds me when there was some IGN Games reviewer who was revealed to be ripping off the commentary of various YouTubers. Is that the thing that H Bomber guy went on his 4-hour tirade about? Or is it just just coincidental? No, that's a separate one. All right. Okay, partly yes. All right, all right, all right. What up, Nemesis? What do they mean in the future? Well, you have to remember, Sifl and Ollie are from the past. So, for them, it is the future. In this precarious environment, thinned out and underpaid editorial staff under constant threat of layoffs and with few resources are forced to cut corners for publishers who are frantically trying to turn a profit in a dying industry. It stands to reason that some of these harried staffers and any freelancers they employ, now armed with automated tools such as generative AI, would use them to stay afloat. True. True. His video was about a handful of different plagiarist YouTubers. I mean, there's that, right? Textilia Biscaglia said that he has sometimes seen freelancer rates as low as $15 for 500 words. I have no basis for comparison. I'm going to assume that's low. And that he completes his freelance work late at night after finishing his day job, which involves editing and proofreading for AT&T. What is AT&T doing that they need an editor and a proofreader? But shout out the fact that someone's out there proofreading something. 30 years ago, Biscaglia said he was an editor at the Park Ridge Times Herald, a small weekly paper that was eventually rolled up into Pioneer Press, a division of the Tribune Publishing Company. I love that job, he said. I always thought I would retire in some small little town, campus town in Michigan or Wisconsin, and just be editor of their weekly paper. Now that doesn't seem that possible. A librarian at the Park Ridge Public Library accessed an archive for us and confirmed that Biscaglia had worked for the newspaper. Look, people doing their job. It's a beautiful thing. On one level, Heat Index is just a small failure of an ecosystem on life support, but it's a template for a future that will be defined by the embrace of artificial intelligence across every industry. What up, Ivan? One where these tools promise to unleash human potential, but instead fuel a human-free race to the bottom. I mean, that's one possible interpretation of it. Any discussion about AI tends to be a perpetual heady conversation around the ability of these tools to pass benchmark tests or whether they can or could possess something approximating human intelligence. Evangelists discuss their power as educational aids and productivity enhancers. In practice, the marketing language around these tools tends not to capture the ways that actual humans use them. Okay. A Nobel Prize winning work driven by AI gets a lot of run, though the dirty secret of AI is that it's it's surely more often used to cut corners and produce lowest common denominator work. Facts, not in evidence, right? What up, Reed? If someone in this chain used AI to check the sources, I bet it would have been caught. There you go. Really enjoyed the talk on AI agency. You know, it's a thing. But the dirty secret of AI, implying that there is a dirty secret of AI, and don't get me wrong, there are some dirty secrets of AI, is that it is surely more often used to cut corners. It must be. It must be. How could it be otherwise? Venture capitalists speak of a future in which AI agents will sort through the drudgery of daily busy work and free us up to live our best lives. Such a future could come to pass. Well, that's a good admission on your part anyway. The present, however, offers ample proof of a different kind of transformation, powered by laziness and greed. Who's being greedy? Say the words. Use your words. AI usage and adoption tends to find a weakness inside systems and exploit them. No, that's humans. That's humans doing that. In academia, generative AI has upended the traditional education model. You say that like it's a bad thing. Based around reading, writing, and testing. Rather than offering a new way forward for a system in need of modernization, generative AI tools have broken it apart, leaving teachers and students flummoxed, even depressed, and unsure of their own roles in a system that can be so easily automated. I think that this should be the point of the thing, right? If the system can be so easily automated, then we should be changing the way that we work around this fact. But instead, an argument will be made that people should do work that can so easily be automated. It's a fascinating It's just a fascinating concept. But at least everyone gets a dog. AI-generated content is frequently referred to as slop by some people because it's spammy and flavorless by some people. Generative AI's output tends to become content in essays, emails, articles, and books, much in the way that packing peanuts are content inside ship packages. No. This is a problem with bad analogies, right? A bad metaphor. Packing peanuts inside ship packages is there to protect the content at its core, right? Everyone understands what packing peanuts do, right? It's filler. It's not filler. It has a purpose. Digital lorem ipsum. The problem with slop is that, like water, I thought it was packing peanuts. Now it's water. It gets in everywhere and seeks the lowest level. Yes, all slop does that. Human, occasionally I do get a package that uses packing peanuts. The majority of shippers have gone to air packs, right? Like the inflatable plastic pillows, right? You can make an argument that packing peanuts are better because they fill the entire container and prevent it from, moving around during shipping and damaging the package. No, not my cats. I will not allow the cats to play with. It's yeah, but they are garbage, right? That's the problem with packing peanuts. If you don't plan on shipping anything, they are, just right into the garbage. Chatbots can assist with higher level tasks such as coding or scanning and analyzing a large corpus of spreadsheets, document archives, or other structured data. Such work marries human expertise with computational heft. But these more elegant examples seem exceedingly rare. In a recent article, Zach Seward, the editorial director of AI initiatives at the New York Times, said that although the newspaper uses artificial intelligence to parse websites and data sets to assist with reporting, he views AI on its own as little more than a parlor trick, mostly without value when not in the hands of already skilled reporters and programmers. Speaking with Buscaglia, we could easily see how the heat index mistake could become part of a pattern for journalists swimming against the current of synthetic slop. I mean, it's literally like you quoted Zach Seward, who told you what the solution is, and then you completely ignore it for the rest of your article. Excuse me. Could become part of a pattern for journalists swimming against a current of synthetic slop, constantly produced content, and unrealistic demands from publishers. I feel like my role has sort of evolved. Like, if people want all this content, they know that I can't write 48 stories or whatever it's going to be, he said. He talked about finding another job, perhaps as a shoe salesman. Interesting. One worst case scenario for AI looks a lot like the heat index fiasco, the parlor tricks winning out. It is a future where, instead of artificial general intelligence apocalypse, we get a far more mundane destruction. AI tools don't become intelligent, but simply good enough. They are not deployed by people trying to supplement or enrich their work in potential, but by those looking to automate it away entirely. You can see the contours of that future right now. In anecdotes are poor evidence. In anecdotes about teachers using AI to grade papers written primarily by chatbots or in AI generated newspaper inserts being sent to households that use them primarily as birdcage liners and kindling. Parlor tricks met with parlor tricks. Robots talking with robots, writing synthetic words for audiences that will never read them. This conclusion, Damon and Charlie, is laughable, right? If they're using your newspaper inserts as birdcage liners and kindling, then it doesn't really fucking matter who writes them. Right? And because you failed to name, with like, I mean, you kind of named it, right? You alluded to what the actual problem is. The two problems. One is that newspapers are a dying industry, and two, why it is a dying industry is because people are attempting to extract money out of it, right? As opposed to reporting the fucking news, people are trying to make money. More on AI slop. The Oak Leaf, student run at Santa Rosa Junior College since 1928. Fighting for recognition, how AI is helping a disabled veteran challenge the DoD's denial. What? You mean people aren't just using it to casually fucking produce garbage and slop and etc., etc.? Dependence on technology is a term we hear often in the Silicon Age, but for disabled veteran and Santa Rosa Junior College student Anthony Clark, technology means independence and the ability to stand up for his rights. Story of Clark's disability began with a freak accident during Air Force basic training, but the DoD has so far refused to accept Clark's injury as service related. Today, he is mostly housebound, unable to walk without assistance, and he experiences a multitude of other neurological symptoms. He refuses to let this discourage him in his struggles to get the care and support he feels rightfully entitled to from the country he signed up to serve. AI is giving him the edge he needs to take on this uphill battle. Physical jobs had always appealed to Clark. Upon graduating from Redwood Academy in Ukiah at 16, he worked in construction with his half brother on high end projects around the Bay Area, including a giant whale installation in Google's head office in Mountain View and the entryway to Stanford's Neuroscience Center in Palo Alto. When the financial crisis of 2008 caused the infamous global economic downturn, the construction industry was one of the hardest hit. Clark had to find a new path. In 2010, then 21-year-old Clark joined the United States Air Force. He was a recruiter's dream: smart, fit, motivated, and willing to be posted to any job that sounded interesting. His father had served decades between the Navy, the Air National Guard, and as a sheriff's deputy for Los Angeles and Oakland counties. So service was in Clark's blood. Clark's chosen career track was to be part of an airborne battle management crew. High above a battle space, on board either an AWACS spy plane, famous for the giant dish on the top side of its fuselage, or an AC-130 gunships bristling with howitzers, cannons, and Gatling guns. Battle managers coordinate fighters and rain down fire support, surrounded by some of the military's most sophisticated and secretive technology. However, during basic training, tragedy intervened to ensure that Clark's promising career never got off the ground. It was Beast Week, the test of physical fitness and mental toughness at the end of that first training phase before recruits move on to learn their specialist trades. Clark's squad was running in formation when his foot went into a pothole concealed by the airmen in front. He tore his ankle ligaments and fell 9 feet into a drainage ditch, landing head first. Dazed and in pain, Clark hobbled back to his barracks and agreed with his instructors to tough it out for the last week of basic. At trade school, due to misdiagnosis of the damage, his ankle never healed properly and brought his Air Force career to an abrupt end, but the bang to his head, ignored by the Air Force medical system, would prove over time to be even more devastating. Today at 36, Clark is surrounded by technologies, but they aren't tools of surveillance and weapons of war. A chairlift helps him get up the steps to his front door. His toilet seat raises and lowers at the push of a button. And Apple's ubiquitous Siri is always listening for voice commands to turn on lights or unlock the door for visiting guests. All are tasks that would otherwise require Clark to go through the exhausting task of taking his walker 10 feet across the room. None of this tech comes cheap. It represents just a fraction of the extra cost of living with a disability. Since the Department of Defense doesn't recognize Clark's condition as service-related, I don't understand how that's possible. The Department of Veteran Affairs has refused to provide veterans disability benefits that could make his life much easier. The past 15 years have been a constant struggle against worsening symptoms and military bureaucracy. First for correct diagnosis and adequate treatment, then for recognition. Clark has remained stalwart through it all. So, we have a young man who, due to the 2008 financial crisis, was no longer able to work in the industry in which he was working. And as many young folks, and especially young men, do in the United States who are on questionable financial circumstances, he joined the military. And then in the military, he was injured, told to tough it out, and now the military is not respecting what he's given to them. In 2011, at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, though injured and officially awaiting his military discharge, Clark made himself useful to his command by improving the patient tracking system of the medical hold unit that was now his home. He helped to streamline the process by which medically unfit airmen could be released to get on with their lives. Still hopeful to heal and get clearance to soldier on, Clark was happy to be useful and was well thought of by his superiors, who did what they could to keep him in the service. All the while, Clark underwent excruciating physical therapy on an ankle that was not yet repaired enough to handle the exercises. He began to exhibit symptoms that could not be explained by his ankle injury alone. I was having issues with my balance, with numbness and tingling in my lower extremities. But the only identified diagnosed issue was the ankle. In 2012, still in the medical hold unit, more than a year after his initial injury, Clark met physician's assistant Randy R.J. Dotz, a former Army Ranger employed in flight medicine at Lackland's clinic. Dotz would become a key figure in Clark's life and the first to recognize what was really going on with his health. No one addressed the head trauma. That appears to be the case. I'm skipping ahead to where AI comes into this. Unfortunately, if you know anyone who is a veteran who was injured, like I don't know this to be certain, but it's distinctly possible that my friend who has cancer has cancer due to his military service. One of the things that happened to him is that in the course of doing maintenance to one of the tanks he worked on, he was doused in the one of the fluids. I can't remember if it's a radiator fluid or if it's a transmission fluid, but he was covered in that stuff, and the stuff that they use is not healthy for humans. By feeding AI tools like ChatGPT from OpenAI and Anthropic's Claude, spelled wrong, thousands of documents and asking them questions about the contents, Clark, aided by Dot's professional knowledge, was able to identify critical points in his record that demonstrate how doctors overlooked his degenerative condition. Clear symptoms and objective abnormal findings support his diagnosis existed but were not worked up by specialists. He should have received a comprehensive workup for his head injury, but this never happened. I was appalled to see how compromised his service treatment records were. In 2024, I submitted a service treatment record amendment that documented everything I was instructed not to address while Anthony was on active duty, Dot said. Anthony will still need to continue his fight for proper recognition, but I can rest easier knowing I finally made his record complete. With AI's assistance, their chances of victory are greatly increased. From the Harvard Gazette. I can just copy paste things, so do I really need to learn? Panelists in university-wide symposium explore promise, peril of AI in academia. How is generative AI shaping academia? Faculty, students, and staff from across Harvard gathered recently to tackle that urgent question. Speakers at the half-day event, co-sponsored by the Digital Data Design Institute at Harvard, the Office of the Vice Provost for Research, Harvard University Information Technology, and the Office of the Vice Provost for Advances in Learning, wrestled with how generative AI is changing the skills students need to succeed. Core message: AI compels higher education to fundamentally reevaluate its purpose, its methods, and its values. This is an incredible opportunity for all of us, whether we are at Harvard, to imagine, wherever we are at Harvard, to imagine how the ways in which we work, the ways in which we teach, the ways in which we learn, and the ways in which we do our research can be fundamentally transformed. Our mission of Veritas can actually be enhanced by using these tools. Frame the event as one Harvard moment. The symposium surfaced disagreements about the proper use of AI in academia. Rebecca Neeson, panel moderator and dean for academic programs at the John A. Paulson School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, told the audience, is it okay for students to use AI to summarize the readings for a class instead of doing the reading themselves? Is it appropriate for a professor to use AI to write a letter of recommendation? What about a first pass assessment of student work? Baby, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe. Thank you for the follow. Why not both? The audience was split. In a panel on generative AI and the future of learning, the speakers grappled with what it means to genuinely learn something in a world shaped by AI. We need to be clear that access to information is not the same thing as learning, and it's certainly not the same thing as active learning and sustained learning. I would then have followed this up with another statement about, like, you know, how to do those things in AI or whatever, but quotes are limited. Christopher W. Stubbs said FAS faculty vary in their adoption of AI and AI policies in the classroom. I find this kind of thing offensive. It should not be up. I don't know, man. In my gut, right? Like, obviously, the first thing I'm popping off with is the idea that it should not be up to an individual professor, right? As to whether or not AI is usable in their classroom. Because, let's say you're taking 2 classes, right? Obviously, college students take more than 2, but let's say you have 2. And in one class, they allow the use of AI. In the other class, they don't. Now, you can make arguments as to why that could possibly be. You know what I mean? There could be something in particular about the class that the use of AI is not, conducive to, etc., etc. But the student who is taking the class might see, based on their experience using the tool in this other class, might see the utility of using the AI within that class. And that's the kind of friction that you're going to create without having a universal policy. It's the school that should have a policy on AI and go from there, not the individual classes. I can see the counter arguments, don't get me wrong, but for that very specific reason, what you're going to do is you're going to create an environment where you're going to have students who are using AI in another class will see the utility of using AI in this class, and they will use AI in that class. And then they will be, treading that line of not getting caught or cheating, when in fact they are not cheating. They are using the tools that are currently available and that are going to dominate the majority of their professional lives going forward. We should be adapting education to these changes as we go. From Reed, what I think they should do is just regulate how the AI is used. They have something now that scans the room for you for students taking online tests that's in a lot of colleges. I don't see why you couldn't have a restricted set of provided AI tools for those who use the tools as well. Sure. Right? I mean, some of these companies, however you feel about it, some of these companies are offering their tools to college students for free. I don't even like it being a school policy, Larry. I don't even like it being a school policy. We need a national policy on this. Take your class-to-class analogy and expand it out to the students moving to university. They could move to another state that has an entirely different AI policy than what they were prepared for in early education. I don't disagree. Right? There are currently, to choose another example, in China, there are currently grade school students who are learning to use the AI tool in as early as 6th grade and possibly earlier, because they have a national policy around it. In the United States, we fight with the Department of Education, depending on what our political stripe is. We have a long way to go in having our colleagues appreciate what this means, to rip down to the studs what it is we want to accomplish in the education we give our students, and then build it back up again. And don't get me wrong, like, teachers at every level are hard pressed to do more with less. Everyone is hard pressed to do more with less, for reasons mentioned previously. Ivor Boyanov, possibly pronounced like a Y, teaches the first AI native course at the school, Data Science and AI for Leaders. Students use AI to prepare for class, answer questions, and build their own companies. People are very positive about these tools, but it made it so easy for them to cheat. A lot of students came to me and said, I can just copy paste things, so do I really need to learn these things? This is something we're thinking really hard about. And so you have to be able to answer this question. I can just copy and paste things. Do I really need to learn these things? And you have to instill in people the desire to learn. Despite these open questions, researchers across Harvard are leveraging generative AI to achieve remarkable advancements. These folks shared AI research that combed through 40 terabytes of metagenomic data to analyze the possible extinction of a certain gut bacteria in developed countries. It's a trillion-piece jigsaw puzzle. With generative AI, we can get results back in a week, whereas a year ago, it would have taken us a year. Blah, 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 blah. In 2023, HUIT, in partnership with the Vice Provost for Advances in Learning, the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, and faculty and staff from across the university, launched an AI sandbox where users can safely play with various large language models. That's cool. And this is what we need to do. Like, I mean, I find our educational system flawed, you know, on multiple levels, and it needs to be updated and adapted and everything else. Now, whether or not it will be is an entirely other animal. And in the 6 minutes we have left, let's talk about improving human beings to make them perform better. Why is transhumanism so harmful? If you believe that transhumanism is harmful, which I do not, the goal of transhumanists is to improve human beings so they will perform better. That is a goal of some transhumanists. I, as a transhumanist, believe that, like every other form of body modification and self-determination that exists, that I should have the ability to do that. You might be right, Textillion. Transhumanism is like socialism. There are many types and iterations, and it does no good to merely lump them all together. True. The goal of transhumanists is to improve human beings so they will perform better. In doing so, they contribute above all else to creating people perfectly suited to capitalism. Wow. Wow, that is a choice you made. It's important to step back and take a critical look at this movement through the lens of sociology. Why? Because transhumanists seem less interested in promoting any kind of evolution than in radically renouncing politics. That's where the problem lies. All right, make your argument. Transhumanism emerged in the early 1990s in the United States. The term refers to an influential movement that unites a diverse group of entrepreneurs, researchers, and philosophers who share the same ambition, using technological and biomedical advances to improve human beings' physical, intellectual, and emotional performance. You're using very particular words, so respect on your propaganda game. We shall continue. Their ultimate goal is to reach a new stage in our evolution where human beings will live forever, free from all forms of biological determinism. Transhumanism has become the subject of genuine fascination, as well as an inevitable and controversial topic of social debate. Crystallizing the hopes, fears, and fantasies of our time, it has inspired increasingly sensationalist claims. In 200 or 300 years, the beings that will dominate the earth will be far more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees. That is Israeli historian Yuval Noah Harari in 2017. Behind the grand rhetoric and hype of entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, the birthplace of the movement, was it? I don't know, maybe. We need to question both the meaning and social and political implications of transhumanist promises. As a sociologist, political scientist, and University of Professor HEC Montreal, I have been working for many years on this movement. I have written 3 essays that defend a critical perspective and invite us to distance ourselves from what I call spectacle transhumanism. Okay, now there, you and I might be in agreement, right? Like this, I could agree, is spectacle transhumanism. The central risk of transhumanism, see, you divorced it from the spectacle part, as my research shows, is how it can depoliticize our imaginations. The idea of the enhanced human suggests a future of alienated humans adapted to the capitalist world. No, it doesn't have to. That is one interpretation. An alternate interpretation is not alienated humans, but rather a, equitable human society. I don't trust Neuralink. Fuck Neuralink. Right, and that's the thing, Reed, is like what I'm getting here, and unfortunately I've run out of time. But I give this to you for those of you who want to look more into it. I feel like what Homie is doing, whoever they are they have made their decision and are confining their process to that decision, right? As opposed to assembling all the information and then making a determination, which you can do with the help of AI. They chose where they wanted to go and then only accepted the path that led them there, right? Are we having fun yet? I appreciate all of you. I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow at this same time at 11 a.m. Eastern. Hopefully all of you. I'll be back tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. to do the videos. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, which is already in progress. And in the meantime, drink your water, some food, take your meds if you forgot. Always remember that Shaggy loves you. So do I. Be great.